Yo, what's up guys? Talking about AOE armor breakers. Of course we know Nephthys is probably one of the best, if not the best armor breaker in game. Actually, not really. You have something that is called an Asima, which is technically better because Nephthys applies armor break just once. This one applies it 3 times. However, we're talking free-to-play. We do of course know the free-to-play option right now, which is probably still one of the best for arena offense, which would be a Jasmine, because it also has the increased cooltime and the skill 2 is very good for cleanup for arena offense as well. Or Truffle, or Madeline Cookie, they're the same. But this thing has a 2 times activation rate of 100% for armor break. So that's technically better than the Jasmine, but Jasmine has a little bit better of cleanup because the skill 1 and skill 2 doesn't really work. However, there's another option for free to play, which not that many people have talked about yet. And I actually never used it myself yet. I do know it is already there, which is this one. And this one is pretty interesting to a certain point, which is if you have higher attack than the enemy, you cannot get resisted on your AoE armor break, which is very interesting. There's only 2 downsides to this unit. The cleanup in this unit, the skill 1 and the skill 2, not that great. Plus, it is a fire element. So hitting on Camillas, would you actually, if you glance it, still not land? Probably not. So that's kind of the issue. If this was a light or a dark unit, it would be insanely good. Also, the lead is for guild content, but it is a not that interesting lead for guild content. If that was the speed lead, I think you have the speed lead. If it was this speed lead, it would have been very interesting. But it is a 4-star, so I count that kind of free to play because 4-stars are relatively easy to get nowadays. Let's say, where would I use it? How would I use it? Is it actually good? And there's one thing with the interaction of certain units that could give like a resist, such as a Nyx. Apparently, she does overrule the Nyx passive, which I'm actually going to test as well. And let's see how she works if you glance and everything like that, and what kind of teams I would use it in. So normally, of course, I use this kind of team. If I were to remove the armor breaker, I would put you in lead, and then I put the last unit in. Sure, it is more difficult to outspeed things this way, but I would absolutely say that this is probably the best way to use a team like this. We have an armor breaker that is a high activation rate on the armor break, but doesn't do anything else than the armor break. Of course, the nuker could be anything, that doesn't really matter. Could be a Kaki, could be legit anything that you would like to nuke with. If you were to want to replace this one, Wind Megami is a good option. Besides that, I do think that this one is insanely good if you have it, because it's just super nice for that cleanup on the skill 2. And it provides the immunity and everything as well. Just to keep it a slight bit more free-to-play friendly, I'm gonna put Poseidon in there. How would we ruin it? Well, the thing is, you want to have as high attack as possible because you want to have more attack than all of your enemies. It is technically not that hard because most things on defense do not really have that high attack. Plus, I don't think you need any accuracy because it cannot be resisted. So, in the first place, if you have attack runes on this, which are pretty high by base, then it is an option already that you can just simply use these and just go with it that way, because you just need the high attack. You don't need anything else. But let me first fix this one, because this one, of course, has to move in front. Okay, triple fight on that. Of course, a lot of people are not gonna be like, yeah, I have those kind of triple fight runes with a shit ton of attack in there that actually do work. Just go for a Fatal and a fight set in that case if you don't have these kind of runes. It's totally not a problem as well. Technically, I would say that you want to go for 15 crit rate if you do want to try to land on Camillas, but let's just see how it goes in the first place. Not entirely sure what best artifacts to put on her, because it's just armor breaking. Apparently, you don't really care about the accuracy, so this would already be good to go. Plus, we're hitting my kind of premium defense out there that is there right now with the Nyx in there and then this thing. So all kinds of annoying shit that could go very wrong. So let's see how this works out. I think everything is in tune. Yes, sir. Everything is in tune. So if we boost it up and we boost this up, then in this case, sure, we get just 1 buffs. Let's see if... Okay, lands on everything. Glancing did not activate on any of them. Sure, we get a counter, but that is pretty nice activation rate to be able to land something on the team like this. Also, I can't glance on that unit. He doesn't do the most amount of damage though, but for the cleanup, the S2, it is not too bad. It's not too bad. We're gonna have an issue if we don't silence that thing though. Okay, did get to silence it. But let's see a few more times. It's actually not that bad. It's like the only big issue I can see with this team is Camilla. So I want to see if the Nyx passive can actually be activated on this and how it works with the glancing. So I think that glancing does counter this unit pretty hard. Okay, we did get glancing and therefore we don't have an armor break, but the Nyx passive didn't activate a single time. So if you do glance, so which is also the case if you do glance on a Camilla, it will be annoying. thing which is decent about her, though, is that she's also going to be your Camilla tank right away. So Camilla, if you don't use any other fire units, then it is simply going to be the one that Camilla's always going to be focusing on. And once you did the first turn, you don't really care that much about the unit, and then other units could actually provide the cleanup on the Camilla itself. So, yeah, it does seem like that Nyx's passive doesn't work. It gets overruled by a 4-star passive. Nice, nice. Very good unit, Nyx over there. Very, very good unit. So, Glancing does counter it. Nyx, not really. So, if you do find teams without any water, you could definitely use this. Pretty interesting, pretty interesting. So, it's just too bad that her leader skill is really bad. Let's actually try to find a team where we can use this over here. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to outspeed this properly, but let's just give it a try. Poseidon is not really the greatest in slot against these teams, but... And with not really greatest, I mean really not the greatest. But let's see, I don't think that the tuning would be messed up by that slow of 1 tick. Nope, it was not. So, yep, we did actually manage to land on the Camilla as well. I would recommend to go 15 crit rate. If you do plan to try to land on Camillas, I would recommend to go 15 crit rate on that unit. But so far, not that bad at all. Oh, Poseidon actually does do a good amount of damage itself still. Okay, that is still fine. That is kind of fine. Issue right now is... which one is more of the issue? Well, let's actually go for you because you do healing on both. And then you would always start focusing that right now, while you, of course, go for the other one. But we have a slight absorb on this, which is not that bad for a cleanup. We can kill over there, and then we can clear it. Okay, it's not bad. Would I rather use this unit than a Jasmine? I'm not 100% sure about that, but I definitely do think that it has some options out there where you would say, like, okay, this definitely is a little bit better. Issue, however, is I'm kind of low on outspeeding potential right now, because all of those teams that you see over here can simply not hit that, because nothing would be outsped by a Tiana straight up. Okay, this one would, but this is way too much water for that thing to land on properly. So, yeah, as you can see in Europe, everyone is just rocking speed leads, speed leads, speed leads, as they should, which is actually the better version out there right now. This one we could actually land on. So, what could I do for a team this way? What could I do for a team this way where I could actually use her and then still have some speed contesting? Well, the big issue is you need something else with overlapping skills in that case. So, what are overlapping skills that you could be working around with? Well, Nephthys doesn't make sense, because an overlapping skills, I mean something that already has a speed lead and then a strip in one, or attack buff and something in one, or the damage dealer has its own attack buff. So then you would change up the whole team, and you would have to go for a team that I showcased before. So let's say you go for this one with an Asher in there. And then after that Asher, you go for the Bailey. I showcased this team before. This could totally work as well. Only thing is, normally Chiwu is your Camilla counter, and now you have 2 Camilla counters-ish. But then these 2 units kind of have to clear things. But at least the odds of landing the armor break on this is pretty nice. Like, if you have a team against this, I'm not too sure if an Asher Chiwu would actually outspeed this. But if you were to use something like this, it could actually be pretty nice. Let me quickly rune that up. So after runing it up, it would look something like this. So we have a casual despair fight on this one. This one is going to be I had to make a double fight and broken. And then some damage on this one, of course. And Asher simply on one of the fast sets I have. Otherwise, I'm not going to be outspeeding that Celia. So let's see how this works, if it works. Okay, apparently everything is super slow, but... issue is here, you don't have the Tiana, so it could be cool and all that you have a guaranteed armor break, but your Chibu might still miss strips. That could be a thing, but we have guaranteed armor break over there, which is pretty nice in this setup for sure. And now we can go for a lot of damage. A lot of damage? Yes, a lot of damage. If you're curious about this team, I do have a whole video on Bailey. I actually did do a whole rush with Bailey, but this is definitely a team that you would see a lot more use case of. Issue is into you. I think that you would still move fast enough on your... Because they also put speed increasing effect on you, so I do think that this would be fast enough to give a chance for landing that pushback over there. Did land a pushback over there, and then we go for an armor break. So, yeah, this is definitely a team that I could see being used. If you don't have a Bailey, the other only unit that does this very well is Talisman. But if you just have a Talisman and nothing else than like LD-wise... You might be looking at ruining this fire cyborg thingy up, because it's actually pretty darn good. Let's see on a team like this, because this is once again where you do have that Camillas in, and Camillas are always a little bit more dangerous and difficult. But let's see how that works out. So I think we crit it. No, wait, we actually landed. So as long as we don't glance and we don't crit it, it is still totally fine that we do tend to do a lot of damage on it. Issue is that, yes, it's not the most insane amount of damage alive out there. We do have a little bit of cleanup over there. Did go for 2 hits. Actually, this skill too, it does give absorb and stuff, so it's not the worst of cleanup skills itself as well. Ashe in this case doesn't have that much damage, but it does kind of work out. But for sure, at least the Bailey is protected for a long time. It will take a long time for anything to start hitting the Bailey, so that's pretty nice in this whole setup. So, because there's a lot of fire units protection kind of stuff going on. But yeah, as I said, killing Camillas can be a little bit of pain in the ass because it's just it is Camillas. Even though we did crit, or we did not crit, we did armor break it on the first rotation. But yeah, it's definitely an option that you could think about. You could also think about using it in some siege offense. I think in some siege offense it would work as well. Do we have the faith that we outspeed a Kabila on like same leads? Maybe because it's midweek. Only because it's midweek. Okay, we did not outspeed. Yeah, this is definitely one of those things. Normally during Rush I would not attempt that, but the guaranteed armor break on this one is actually pretty nice. That is... Wait, was that... Ah, it was resisted because I probably have too low attack. I was like, wait, why was that resisted? But if something has more attack than you, which in most cases on defense, like who else is going to put a talisman on defense, and I don't have the most insane amount of attack on this one right now, like definitely not, then you could get resisted because it's only 8 accuracy. So that's also the cool thing. I'm landing all of this with 8 accuracy. Like there's not more accuracy in it than 8. If you do for the cleanup, I would recommend to put a little bit more accuracy because it's just nice for the S2 as well. So it does help out a bit to put some accuracy in there. But in general, pretty nice unit. But is it really something that I would be using myself? Well, I do have the Nefty, so probably not. But is it something that I would be using if I didn't have a Nefties? Probably. Probably I would keep like both Jasmine and him or her runed up. And then just choose like which one fits best for whatever I'm hitting at that moment. So in this case, this is going to be the difficulties of like, okay, cleanups. Whereas a Jasmine in the team right now, Jasmine would have been like super chill for cleanup because if the Jasmine gets a turn, it nearly kills like half the HP on like a skill 2 and that kind of stuff. Whereas a, this thing, Carmela, I think Carmela is her name, doesn't really do that well at all. So this is just like, yeah, we're gonna fight Camillas. But if you're not fighting Camilla teams, then she's actually pretty good. Also, let me know in the comments if you have any other ways where you would like to use her, maybe for Siege, maybe for a different arena offense or anything like that, or have you been using her already? Let me know in the comments because always pretty curious to see those as well. And therefore you can also read the comment section to check like, okay, is there anything? So we did glance over there once again, which doesn't really help out. At least the Asher in here, I did do a similar team with a Chilling before. Chilling is a little bit better for damage for the cleanup, but Asher is a little bit better for the HP recovery for the cleanup as well. So there's a little bit of both worlds on that one. In the end, we do clear it. It just takes like an insane amount of time. So it's not that great. Maybe you find out that Carmela is actually pretty interesting for your teams to be using, especially if you do have like a Serath or a Talisman. That's once a guaranteed armor break. Sure, Truffle is a good in-slot unit then, especially on water as well. But if you're just fighting non-water, Carmela might actually be an interesting unit for you. It's just too bad that her leader skill is not that interesting. Also, I don't have any skill ups in her just yet. Probably I won't be using her as much, but yeah, if this was like a attack leader skill or a... Because she doesn't need the accuracy, which just kind of makes it weird. And one of her sisters already has the attack leader skill, and one of her sisters already has the leader skill for speed. I'm not 100% sure if there's one that has crit rate lead already. Because most of the time they're just gonna put one leader skill per one of the family and they're never going to have those overlapping. If they were to switch around a few of those, it would be nice. So let's see, we have attack in this one, speed in that one, HP over here. Okay, so let's say that they change this to a crit rate. Then she would be a lot more interesting for, let's say, a Tiana, then her, and then you put a... Well, Serath already has the crit rate itself, but Talisman or something like that, or some other unit that... you could even do that with the Robo then, the light Robo. That would be an option. So there's a few options out there that if she had a more interesting lead, that this could actually work in a siege offense hit as well. Guys, thanks a lot for watching. I see you as always in the next one.